What is going on, everybody out there in the sports world? It is Tony Tucker here with Joe Morley for another episode of Sports Dummies, a show where you can say the dumbest things about your favorite sports teams, players, or sports topics that you choose. We try to keep it positive and above the belt with the comments, but join us here. Sports Dummies, another episode. We are going to be talking about schedule release and some of the other news. The comments are open here live on YouTube if you want to jump in on them. If you're listening to the audio version of this, subscribe to the Warzone Sports Network over on YouTube so you can be alerted as to when this show goes live. Joe, how we doing today?
Doing good, Tony. Doing good. I had to wake up early for a flag football game. I don't like that. I don't like waking up early on the weekend, but at least I get to come spend time with you, one of my favorite people in the world.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love it. Thank you, Joseph. It's so nice of you. This past week is exciting, right? Because the schedule gets released. My dog's trying to get in here. She's not happy about the schedule release. But I think that it just allows fans to do those crazy reactions. I've seen a lot of people on and complaining about stuff and organizations kind of slowly slighting hey, why did this happen to us? And why do we have to go on the road after a short week? And what's going on here? It's we have no clue what's going to happen. But it just gives the excitement, it's the anticipation. It's like picking out Christmas gifts and you don't even know what's going to happen. We'll be totally excited about something else by the time that week or that part of the season shows up,
Yeah, and then I hear a lot of people right now complaining about Seahawks having to travel the most. They're traveling the most, 6,000 miles, over 6,000 miles this season. When Pittsburgh Steelers are traveling the least, they're never leaving the East Coast or something like that. I think their farthest game. But it is what it is. You still got to go play the games. One thing I want to touch on before we do it is people don't buy into the strength of schedule bullshit. The strength of schedule is so whacked. The AFC West, of course, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Chargers, their strength of schedule is going to be tough. It's going to be one of the toughest because everybody had a lot of wins in the division. And, of course, the bottom NFC East, the worst division in football, their strength of schedule is going to be at the bottom because their teams don't win games. And that's how they base the strength of schedule. It's not they go, oh, this is a good team. They're playing a good team. No, they go off of wins and losses. So, of course, if somebody goes 16-1 and you got to play them twice a year, that's 32-2 right off the bat on your strength of schedule. Of course, that's going to raise you up and be like, you're going to play a tough schedule this year, Tony, but you're just playing a division opponent that you play every year.
I think there's a little bit in the strength of schedule at the beginning of the year, right? But then as the season unfolds, like you're saying, you don't know what's going to happen with injuries or whatever it is. When Baker gets an injury last year, is that the same team that we're seeing, the same strength? Is it the same rating? No, it's not. So I think at the beginning of the year, sure. Look at the teams in the NFC East. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what that's going to be like. What about the Dolphins retooled? Are they factoring in the addition of Tyreek Hill, or are they just basing it off of last year's, anemic offense at times? So, yeah. I think there's a little bit of it, but not as much as people make in the strength of schedule stuff.
Well, Tony, the schedule came out, and the games that we were looking at is because you're a Charger fan, I'm a Raider fan. We were like, when are they playing? And, of course, we get them week number 1 right off the bat, a home game for the Raiders in SoFi Stadium. What you think about that?
I hope we smack the snot out of you. I want a double-digit win of just I want – remember the game last year, Saints-Packers to open the season, and everybody was like, what happened to Green Bay? Are they finished? Are they look at the Saints. I want that kind of a win from the Chargers. I want one of those 38-10 just beat downs of you guys having to score like a garbage time touchdown against our backups just to save a little face for the Monday morning talking heads. I don't really necessarily think that'll be the case, but that is what I am hoping for. That is what I am trying to manifest for the Chargers to just be rolling you guys in week 1.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to competitive. I'm a big. This is the only thing I complain about schedule wise. I hate division games week 1. I don't think they should have divisional games week 1. I think the NFL should try to move away from that. And I hate divisional games on Thursday Night Football. And the Chargers get both of them in the schedule. And that's for a Raider fan, I'm like, hey, cool, screw the Chargers. That's what they get. But divisional games week 1, because week 1 is such a crapshoot, Tony. Anything could happen week 1. We've seen it. Like you said last year, the Saints whooped on the Packers. I was one of those guys that go, hey, Aaron Rodgers don't look like he was into it on this one. And then all of a sudden, everything went back to normal, right? What's up, RC Productions? Renee doing his thing.
Digging that new graphic, RC. That looks dope.
So I don't know. I hate week 1 because, yeah, if the Raiders come out and get blown out by the Chargers, then we're gonna hear all this crap. Or if the Raiders do and blow out the Chargers, you're gonna hear that the Chargers are done and they can't compete. But it's week 1. Everybody's going through their stuff, new personnel, new everything. So I'm looking forward to the game. I just wish, Tony, the only thing I have to complain about right now is they put it in Sunday afternoon football. After the game that they had last year, you put them at 1:25 p.m. and you put who? This crappy game on Monday Night Football? What? Nobody wants to see this game on Monday Night Football to start the season.
So, okay, this is why I love the way it worked out, because the Chargers have a short week and we're going to KC. So I do not want a Sunday night football game. They couldn't play on Monday night. They don't do that. I don't want the Sunday night game either. Like, I want the game to be finished in the afternoon. I actually want the game to be finished at halftime, but I want the game to be in that early window. We get Romo and Nance. It'll be fun. I think they're great on that call there. And here's why I was actually going to talk about this as my week 1 matchup as a non-Chargers game that I'm looking for is the Monday night game with Russell going back to Seattle. There's going to be a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot to amp up. There's a lot of emotion there. And I think that for Russell going back to Seattle in his first game, even if it is Drew Lock, like, I just believe that there's a real chance for an upset in that week 1, because there's going to be some like energy of, I want to prove them wrong. And it's never good to play that way. Like, look how bad. I know the weather was bad when Brady went back to New England, but remember how, like, he was a little off. Like, I know it was rainy or windy or whatever was going on there, but when you play with that kind of energy, you're not focused on being the great player that you are. So I think he could get back up there. Seattle fans could be letting him hear it. Like, he might get cheered at the call, like the announcement, but once the game starts, the 12th man is going to let him know you effed us and you wanted out of here just as much as Pete and John want to trade you. And now you're going to get booed. And maybe the Broncos start off with a big fat stinky L on Monday Night Football.
Well, I don't know. I've already I'm not making friends with Bronco fans already this offseason. And I've already come out and said that I think Seattle wins this game no matter. I haven't even seen what Seattle pulls out on the field. I haven't seen a warm-up. I haven't seen a camp or anything. I just said the way it feels is the same way you're saying. Russ is going to come in there wanting to prove Nathaniel Hackett, a brand new coach, might overthink his first game. And not saying that the Broncos aren't a better team than Seattle, because everybody knows that on paper the Broncos roster should kill the Seattle Seahawks roster. It's just any given Sunday, Tony, anything can happen, and you overthink games and you overplay games, and it happens. And plus the Monday night hype, and like you said, you don't think that crowd is going to let Russell Wilson know every time that he's out there. You don't think they're going to come out. You don't think Pete Carroll has some things in there that goes, I know how to get to Russell Wilson that other people don't know how?
Yeah, I do think that there's a little bit of advantage for the defensive head coach going up against his former quarterback in a new system. And I read an article somewhere where Russell's going to be in an offense that was similar to what they tried to install last year, a rhythm timing offense that Nathaniel Hackett runs, and he struggled in that, right? And now he's going to be in that, and he gets the offseason to work with Hackett and the new receivers and everything. But the first game with that kind of emotion, I could see Seattle coming out. They're feeling good. They're fresh. They're whatever. And, if this game was played in week 6 or 7, I think Denver will be together and rolling and be fine, and they will steamroll the Seahawks. But week 1, I think it gives it's kind of tips the not advantage, but a little bit of power back towards the Seahawks. And I'll be rooting for the Seahawks to lay the smackdown in week 1 on the Broncos.
Now, this is a game, Tony. I don't know how much you want to break down week 1, but here's the game I want to see. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. George Pickens, Eli Apple, right off the bat. Let's go.
I'm good for this one. I do think that this game is interesting, too, because you have a lot of people, including me, talking about the Bengals not repeating in this division, right? And this is a game where you want to come out and make a statement right away. We don't know who the starter is going to be for the Steelers. I thought it was going to be Trubisky until Pickett was drafted at number 20th overall. And I think there's a good chance he could beat out Trubisky to start the season. But I think the Steelers made a lot of good defensive upgrades. We're going to see a new Cincinnati offensive line. You do not want to lose games in this division. The AFC North and the AFC West, you cannot be losing division games early on. Kind of going back to what you said about why are we making these week 1 games? It seems kind of stupid, especially when teams are only getting 3 preseason games and coaches really aren't even playing their starters in the preseason anymore. So the first couple of weeks, teams are still ironing out kinks and getting that cohesiveness.
Yeah, and I'm just scrolling through these, and like Buffalo, LA, it's a huge game. It's a good game. Everybody wants to watch it. Great matchup. That's a good week 1 matchup. It's not a divisional game, but it is 2 powerhouses that 2 people want to watch, or anybody wants to watch. But I'm just kind of scrolling through, the week 1 schedule. If you guys are watching on their screen on YouTube, and I'm seeing a lot of divisional games, and it's crazy to see them all in week 1. I'm not a fan of it. I've already said it, but some of these matchups are good matchups, but most of them are all divisional games, and it's like those could cost you a week 1 game could cost you a spot later on down the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Sunday night game between Dallas and Tampa is worth a quick shout out because they opened up the season last year on Thursday Night Football, and that was a very exciting football. They're actually replaying it right now on NFL Network, and that was a fun game to watch. So anytime you can get a Sunday night football game that I don't really care about the winner or loser, but I believe that I will have a couple players from fantasy in the matchup, those are fun, exciting games for me on Sunday night. It's like, I don't care who wins this game. I hate Dallas, and I don't really ever cheer for Tom Brady. So let's go. Who do I have in fan? I know I have CeeDee Lamb in Dynasty or whatever. So let's get some fantasy points in this matchup, and I think it can be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, and the NFC East, Tony, the Cowboys were the winners of it last year, right? They haven't had the same winner to win that division in 17 years? Is that what it is? Different winner every year?
And I don't think the Cowboys are winning that division this year either. I'm kind of in my preliminary, like the way I have that division shaking out, they're 3rd right now. So, wow. But we'll get into our divisional predictions later.
We'll have a lot more time to break those down. We're just looking at the schedule as of now. But are you happy with this Thursday night game to start the season?
Oh, I'm ecstatic about it. I think it's great. Tons of hype. You get the Super Bowl winners against a team that a lot of people thought should have been in the Super Bowl. Josh Allen in the Buffalo Bills are the reason why we've had an update to the playoff overtime schedule. And we're going to hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of James Cook in that game. The Bills also added a guy that I really like in Khalil Shakur to the receiving core, and Gabe Davis broke out in that game last year. So there's a lot of weapons, and it's like, do the Rams have a bit of a Super Bowl hangover? We get to see them right away. I don't think they will. I think they're pretty focused. You have a veteran leader at Stafford at quarterback, and
Yeah.
I think the Rams are going to be just fine. So I'm ready for some fireworks in that game.
Yeah, and some people are saying that some people are coming out already and saying this is their Super Bowl prediction. So some people are saying this will be not only the first game of the season, but also the last game of the season.
Yeah, I mean that would be quite a big storyline heading into the Super Bowl if that is the case. That is not my Super Bowl prediction as of today. So I'm not going to give that one out, but as of today, that's not mine.
Yeah, I don't know how much you want to keep going on the schedule, but any other key games that stick out to you that you saw?
Yeah, let's just roll through week by week, and we'll pick a game that we're excited about seeing. It doesn't necessarily have to be our game. Obviously, we start we start week 2 with my Chargers there. And a
I
great
understand that you're a Charger fan and you don't care how your schedule. You feel your team can live up to the hype, but something has to be bothering you a little bit, Tony, to be like, okay, we're gonna play a tough game against the Raiders. It's a divisional game. No matter if it's a blowout or not, it's still a tough divisional game. Every divisional game is tough. Then you got to turn around 3 days later, get on a plane and fly to Kansas City to play the division winner from last year. Like that's some. I'm not a Charger fan. I'm a Raider fan, but that's some crap. To me, that's crap.
So I'm not going to lie to you, Joe. I actually really like the opening. Like, I'm a fan of this. This is what I wanted before the schedule was released. I wanted in the first 3 weeks, I wanted the Raiders, Chargers, or Broncos, because I believe that getting the Raiders in week 1 is an advantage to the Chargers. Now, you can say Derek, like a Raiders fan commented and said, oh, well, you think Derek Carr's not going to know the new offense or whatever. It's similar to the Bill Musgrave and like the terminology and play and whatever. Sure, that's fine. What about the rest of the Raiders offense? Like, also in-game is way different. Like, calling in-game adjustments is so difficult, and you have a new head coach and you have everything. Like, again, this is why you don't want divisional games early on. So like I like that. Then you get the Chiefs on a short week traveling back to Kansas City for their home opener, and they get the Chargers where the Chargers went in last year and won in KC. So I'm not mad about it at all. Like, Kansas City's also going to be ironing out kinks. No more Tyreek Hill. How's that going to look? Travis Kelce will be fresh. It's early on in the year, but like, has the defense caught up? Like, I think the games the Chargers have in week 1 and week 2 are going to look very different than they will later on in the season against the Raiders and Chiefs, right? Like, those teams will have ironed out the kinks and be more cemented teams as long as health is on everyone's side. So I like it. I'm not mad about it at all.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know you're thinking the Raiders won't be as prepared for week 1, but you got to remember the Raiders have the extra preseason game this year, and they're going to do extra practices with the Patriots. So I think they'll be a little bit more ready for that offense. The only thing I think about is week 1 is you never know what the game plan is of every team. So
yeah,
some teams, they're not going to show you everything in the preseason. So you're going off of a preseason tape or the previous year with other players and trying to do it. So you might get a little bit of different stuff because you don't know how the Chargers are going to use Khalil Mack. You don't know that. You could think that you know what they're going to do, but you don't. So that's what I hate week 1. But here's we're going to have a doubleheader on Monday night in week 2, Tony.
Yeah. I like both of these games. They're good. But I think the week 2 one that I really want to see is the Saints and Bucks, right? The Saints and Bucks, I think the Saints have won all 4 of the matchups with Tom Brady in the regular season since he's gotten to this division. And now you have Jameis Winston. It's in the early window, which is kind of weird to me, but like, can the Saints make an early statement in this division? Like, can they say like, hey, we didn't punt on this season. We didn't draft a QB. We traded back into the first round and then traded up in the first round to bring in Chris Olave, right? To have somebody. Is Michael Thomas going to be on the field? Can Brady go to New Orleans and finally get a win in the regular season there? And how is Jameis Winston leading this offense? Like, this is a game that I like early on in the NFC South to maybe make it more interesting, right? To kind of put the Bucks on their heels a little bit.
Well, I'm looking at the game right above it, the Colts versus at Jacksonville. Not a big one that you would think about normally, but where did the Colts end their season last year? Where did the Colts, make their tough decisions last year? Right here in Jacksonville. And it's been a couple seasons since they've won in Jacksonville? I forget. I want to say I forget how many seasons, but it's been a couple in a row. So now the Colts get you week 2. They're going to send your ass back to Jacksonville, and you better prove yourself. And Matt Ryan better win in Jacksonville, or the fans are going to have it again.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that Jacksonville is going to be tougher than people are giving them credit for. I don't necessarily think that they're going to win that game, but I think they make it a little tougher than people think. Like, I've seen a lot of things where they're like, Jacksonville's the 31st team in football. I'm like, really? They're getting back Travis Etienne. They loaded up on defense. They have a way better head coach for the NFL, at least. Yeah. Like, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be in year 2. Like, come on.
Jacksonville will be very improved this year. I'll say that. They're not a playoff team. They're nothing like that. But no. Jacksonville, 6-7 wins is doable for them.
Yeah, I think so. I think if they can get to that 6-7 win mark, that's something to be excited about heading into the next, into that following season. Moving on to week 3. I think the game that I'm looking at, and this one that I'm excited about, and I hate the fact that they give us a turd NFC East. Like, they always force the Cowboys and Giants on us at some point. And it's like, really? Until Daniel Jones is gone, like, stop it. I don't want to see this on Monday night, but I will watch it. I think it's another early game, and it is the Jets and the Bengals, right? Because the Jets had such a big draft and did pretty well in free agency. I like to see Zach Wilson and see how this is working out for him with Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore year 2, Corey Davis being that sort of third option. So good young quarterbacks and potential excitement on some of the defensive players with Lawson coming back and Jermaine Johnson there. So that one to me is a game I look forward to.
Oh, I thought you would say the Houston-Chicago game for sure. That would be the game that you have to tune into.
That's funny. I do think Houston is better. To me, Chicago's the one team where I'm like, they're 32nd in the NFL. Like, that team is a 1-2 win potential football team. Bad. Just bad.
So week 4, just going to go through week 4 real quick. I don't know these Lion games, Tony. I don't know if you've looked at the Lions schedule. I think it's working out really well. I think it's going to work out really well for the Detroit Lions. I'm just scrolling through right now and going, dang, they have some good matchups for them to turn their season around.
Yes, they do. They don't have any primetime games this year. I forget where I heard that, and they're also like pretty buried on the schedule.
Week 4 helps us. Week 4 gives us a couple good primetime games, If you look at Kansas City versus Tampa Bay, and then Monday night would be the Rams and San Francisco. I like those. I can hang with those.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the game I'm looking at right now too. Is Kansas City traveling to Tampa, where I do end up cheering for the Buccaneers to get a W in that game. I don't know. This week, there's some games that kind of stand out. There's one that I think just could be like a low key shit show, and that is the Cardinals without D-Hop playing the Panthers. But we can move on. There's no need to get into that.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those games where it could be like, what's going on here? Like,
and I know we're not going to get into our predictions right now, but I think the Cardinals are going to take a big step back this year, in my opinion. But we'll get into that at another time. Here's what is this? Week 5. Here's week 5. I'll scroll through real quick. Pittsburgh, Buffalo. Are you interested in that one?
I am. I think that's a game again where Pittsburgh is. It just really depends on like who wins the quarterback battle to me. Like what I will think of them going into the game. I just think Pittsburgh is going to be better off if Trubisky is the starter.
Here you go. Afix is in the house, and he says, fun fact, Kyler Murray is 0-3 versus the Panthers and 0-2-1 versus the Lions.
Ooh, wow.
Little fun fact, putting that in there.
Yeah, and that's not Jake Delhomme's Panthers either. That's Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater's Panthers.
Here's you got October 10th. You got the Monday night Raiders at Kansas City. This is the first time the Raiders are going to Kansas City and it not be end of November, December, January cold weather. It's still not going to be great, but at least they're going in October.
Yeah.
Week 6. Ooh, we got the big Chicago, Washington kicking off Thursday night. And you got to remember, everything's on Prime Video now on Thursday night. So that's going to be an adjustment for me, at least, because I can't just go boop. Well, I guess if I turn my Fire Stick on, I could watch it on there, right? On Amazon.
Yeah,
Fire
you should
Stick.
be able to. Yeah, again, like Pittsburgh's schedule is just brutal. Like that. Now in week 6, they're getting the Buccaneers. I think this Sunday night football game between the Eagles and Cowboys will be worth a watch. Because we're going to get to see if the Eagles can actually like do some damage. Like we're going to have a good idea of that, of how good that defense is, because they made a lot of upgrades on that side of the football. And then you bring in AJ Brown. Eagles seem to be shaping into everybody's kind of off-season favorite as having some opportunity to do some damage there. I don't know. I keep.
You know what's funny? I saw somebody talk about it yesterday on one of the fantasy shows, and she was like, AJ Brown, I don't know how he'll fit into the Eagles because the Eagles ran the ball more than anybody in the NFC last year. And I'm like, did he not just come from an offense that runs the ball all the time? Like, I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, something I don't see much changing going on there.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, week 7, the matchup for me is 49ers Chiefs, the late window on the games.
What the
Bears? I think the Bears have like 2 primetime games this year, or like 2. They have like a Sunday night and a Monday night football game. Just some real turd fests for us to be watching. But yeah, that game between Kansas City and San Francisco, I think is interesting because we got Trey Lance in that game, and a lot of people have sort of compared him to, Mahomes' situation where he gets to sit a year and then come in and, can he really take flight? How is the KC defense shaping up? That'll be one that I'll be excited to see the highlights and outcome of.
So I saw something, Tony, thanks to TikTok, and TikTok brings everything out. The Saints could be the first team in NFL history to complete the cycle of the birds. They're playing every bird team this season. And, of course, not everybody gets to do it, but this season it matches up for the Saints that they play every team, that the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Ravens. Who else has a bird?
Eagles.
The Eagles. Yeah, all the bird teams play the Saints this year. So the Saints could complete the cycle of them if they beat all of them.
Yeah, I mean, they also could get a lot of the poop on the windshield. A lot of flying over, and right there on the face shield of Jalen Hurts, just
So are we thinking these Green Bay games are still going to be good? Like the Green Bay Buffalo game, are you still thinking that one's going to be a good one, or you think Buffalo's going to come out and just?
I do. I think Green Bay's defense is better than people think it is. Right? They added two first-round kids from Georgia that can really play, and they were able to keep Devondre Campbell. They're getting back Jair Alexander. They still have the second-year kid Stokes from Georgia last year. They re-signed Rasul Douglas. I think that the Green Bay defense is still very good, very competitive, and that'll be a big primetime game. We'll all get to sit down. It's now, week 8? And we're going to get to see, is Christian Watson rounding into shape with Aaron Rodgers? I think that could be a game that has some really big fun plays. So I think week 8, that would kind of be the game that we have circled. Chargers have a bye that week, so it'll be nice for me to relax, check my blood pressure, make sure I'm, gearing up for the second half of the season.
This is week 9. You got the Rams at the Buccaneers, which we thought was going to be Tom Brady's last game last year, and it didn't turn out to be, right?
Yeah, that's the game. That's Rams Buccaneers was the game I was supposed to go to last year to watch Tom Brady play at SoFi, and I had a close contact COVID thing, and I had to give up my tickets. I think for me, I'm kind of interested to see the Colts and the Patriots in this one. There's a history there. Matt Ryan, veteran quarterback, it's still got to sting him, the Super Bowl and the Patriots and just everything. It's just a chance to go there with a team that's loaded like this and compete. Mm-hmm. Maybe just stick it to them, even though it's a regular season. It's not going to cure the ails of a 28-3 loss, but go there and play some football. To me, that feels just like a low-scoring game that everybody will find very boring, but I don't know. Interesting to me.
Week 10, they give us another NFC at least primetime game.
Do they really? Again?
Yeah. Washington, and was it the Giants? I already moved on, but how many NFC East battles do we need to watch on primetime games now? Come on. Back in the day, it was cool. Lately, no.
Yeah. Well, let's just for the sake of moving on here, let's go to what's the Thanksgiving Day games?
I should be getting there right around now, right? So week 12 will be Thanksgiving, right? Week 12, yes, sir.
Should be.
So you're gonna have 1, 2, 3 games. Buffalo at Detroit. Come on, you're supposed to give Detroit a team that they could. They're supposed to be homecoming games. You schedule it where a team you think you can have a good chance to beating, right? I don't like that one. Again, Giants. Didn't we just have this on a Monday night game? Now you're gonna put it on Thanksgiving. We get to watch it twice, and then we get the Patriots and Minnesota.
Okay, so I'm a fan of the Lions getting somebody that everybody think is going to be a cakewalk. I remember might have been 10 years ago. The Patriots They beat the Patriots on Thanksgiving with like some heroics by Stafford late in the game. I think. I might be misremembering that, but I remember a really exciting Patriots-Lions game when everybody just thought it was going to be a dumpster fire. So I'm there for it. Dan Campbell getting the troops fired up, withholding them from their tryptophan. And then this game right here, remember last year when your Raiders went and beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah.
The internet just goes on fire if Danny Dimes beats the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Like, it will be the memes, the video that we'll get to see on TikTok of Danny Dimes holding little baby Dak Prescott in his arms. That to me is fun and exciting. And then the last game of the night, this one is the best game, just sort of matchup wise to me, because I think the Vikings are going to be pretty good. And we're at Thanksgiving. They say the season starts after Thanksgiving. You know, stick it to the Patriots on that Sunday night football game.
Yeah, and I think it should be a good matchup. And then you end it with Pittsburgh and Indianapolis that week. So this week, good matchups, good food. Let's see. I think it's this one. Week 16 is your Christmas Day. They're going to put games on Christmas Day, Tony. Remember we were talking about this, I think a couple weeks ago. So you have Thursday Night Football, of course, which is probably going to be a snoring fest. Then you have everything on Christmas. I like this. The Saturday on Christmas Eve, Tony. You get to watch football all day. Christmas Eve, just as it was a Sunday, because they're going to do it all on Saturday. And then you turn around and Christmas morning, you wake up to Green Bay at Miami, Denver and the Rams, and finish with Tampa Bay, Arizona.
Yeah, I think they did a really great job, because all of these games are going to be interesting regardless of schedule. Because the Dolphins, like, at this point in the season, we will be talking about whether Tua is done or whether he's the future, right? Like, I don't think there'll be any sort of on the fence by Christmas morning of whether or not, like, oh, you know, if they're a 4 or 5 win team at Christmas, they're already looking at Bryce Young and the kid from Clemson and the kid from Kentucky. Like, they're already looking into the draft or into free agency or whatever it is. And then the second game of the day, you get Russ, Matt Stafford. This is, to me, like 2 guys of a generation that are just sort of slotted behind each a Super Bowl victory now. And then they're both slotted behind. They're going to both be competing, needing W's at this point in the season in tough AFC, NFC, Western divisions. And then this last game, it's like Kyler Murray. Did he just wake up on Christmas morning and then just delete everything except for him in a Santa Claus outfit on his social media? You know?
I thought he'd be dressed as an elf.
Oh.
I thought you went the opposite way with that. But here's another thing, Tony. Not only is it Christmas morning, this would be what, week 16, I said?
Yeah.
This would be the semifinals to see who goes to the championship in most fantasy football leagues, and you're finding out on Christmas Day.
Yeah. It's quite a gift. I assume that I will be waiting till the 26th because the Chargers play, and I will probably have lots of Chargers throughout my fantasy rosters. It happens. It happened last year. It'll happen again this year, I'm sure.
Because week 17 would be your fantasy football championships, because friends don't let friends play championships in week 18, right?
That's right. I was secretly hoping that the Rams and Chargers would end up on Christmas Day. That would be, I think I could have talked my wife into that one.
So this is New Year's Day, Tony. Actual New Year's Day, when we're supposed to get bowl games and stuff that day, right? That's what it's supposed to be, a college football day, but no, it's an NFL football day. And the one I like, of course, is the Raiders and the Niners.
Lots of hatred there. This is another big game. Like, that's the great thing about this schedule is both of the Western conferences going up against each other this year. Like, what a tough, shitty draw. Like, next year, imagine we're looking at the schedule and it's like, oh, the AFC West gets to play, the NFC North, and Aaron Rodgers has miraculously decided to retire, or whatever. It's like, or they get the NFC East or whatever division we get next year that won't be the NFC West. The NFC South, and Brady's retired, and the Saints are moving on from Winston, and it's like it'll look so much different when we don't have to play the NFC West, but you do, and you guys are going to get a very brutal game against the 49ers, and I know how much Niners and Raiders fans.
Well, this is the West Coast week. This is San Francisco at Las Vegas, and this is the Rams at the Chargers.
Yeah, this is one I've kind of already brought up to my wife about. Let's go.
So the Rams have to travel. That's a big travel day for the Rams to get to Los Angeles, but it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, that one. This will be fun. I think. Yeah, it'll be an opportunity for the Chargers to. I don't like this big brother, little brother narrative bullshit that's out here. Like, the Rams won a game, Joe. Like, they won a Super Bowl or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah.
So do you
share the stadium?
Do you like the game? Do you like this Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day? We got football.
Yeah, I think they did it. I think they did an amazing job with the schedule. I don't know. I don't really know the significance of why they did the double header on Monday Night Football in week 2 or whatever it was. I didn't quite understand is that something that they're testing out to see what that would look like, where we would have more double headers in the future?
Well, I think they like the Tuesday night games. I think they liked it, so maybe it is to put more game. But they're not even starting them at how they used to I think they're only starting an hour apart, so you don't get to watch both games.
Well, it depends on what your setup's like. I'll be watching both games.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
Most people.
Yeah, I mean that's on them. They need to up their. Yeah, they got to get their. They got to get their stuff.
And we have a game on Halloween, Tony. So every holiday gets hit.
Yeah. Well, Halloween last year was on a Sunday, and my wife she asked me, she's like, is there a game on Halloween this year? Because she was annoyed because I believe that was the Patriots game ended up on Halloween, and we lost, and I was in a shit mood because of how that game ended. Jared Cook turning the wrong way. Bro, what are you doing? Pick 6. Bullshit.
That's the day that you could be yelling and screaming and people come to your door but just think it's a Halloween thing. And oh, I'm scared of this house. And really, you're just yelling at the TV for football.
We had the whole yard set up. I think I sent you the pictures. We have the skeletons and the blood-covered shirts and the fog machines. We really do Halloween quite big. And she was getting ready. She's like, people are going to come. Let's get the caution tape up and let's get all this. And I was just I was grumpy. I was just like, Adrian,
no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a different feel this year. I'm very excited about how the Chargers offseason has gone, how the team looks, and to me, the schedule makers did a great job. And I was listening to an interview with them, and they were talking about how they have to restart every time there's major sort of shifting in the tectonic plates of the NFL. So it's like Brady retires, he unretires, we got to start over. Russell Wilson gets traded, we got to start over. This happens, we got to start over. I would imagine there was probably some shifting in the Arizona schedule too, right? D-Hop goes out. Are you putting the Cardinals in certain areas and, maybe they were the 125 start in a late window. Now all of a sudden it's they're going to be the 105 kickoff. We're not putting them at the primetime Fox game, and Hollywood Brown is the number 1 guy, and James Conner, and we don't know if Kyler's going to be healthy or whatever. Then you got the Browns situation too. It's like the Browns have like 0 primetime games and they got Deshaun Watson. If you take out what happened to like the reason why Deshaun got there, this Browns team would be higher up. And it's like, how long will the NFL sort of, punish is the wrong word, but how long will they hold the Browns out of primetime games because of the circumstances around Deshaun Watson? Will this go on for 3-4 seasons? Like, will Deshaun get suspended? Like, do they know something we don't? As to like, it's interesting.
And the one thing the NFL schedule makers still have not got is stop putting West Coast teams at 10 a.m. Pacific time on the East Coast. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. I don't get that. I still don't get why they have to go over there. And then you'll have the Giants play the Eagles at 1 o'clock Eastern or Pacific time. It's like, come on.
Yeah, it definitely feels unfair in some way for that to happen. And I do think that it's a pretty easy fix where you could just have them playing at 4:05 on the East Coast.
And I guess the Raiders were one of the teams that actually requested back-to-back East Coast trips this year. So the Raiders play. They'll go to, well, it's not all the way to the East Coast, but they'll go to New Orleans and play at 10 a.m. on Sunday, and then stay there for the whole week and go play Jacksonville at 10 a.m. the next week. But they requested that. They requested to be back-to-back East Coast.
That feels like a Belichick New England like move to do. Like, oh, we're gonna do this old school, and we're just gonna go out on the road for 2 weeks. Hug your children, kiss your wives, and we'll see when the war is over type stuff. This is the first time in like 5 or 6 years that the Chargers are under travel miles that would circumnavigate the globe. Like, I think to travel around the globe is like 24,800 miles or something crazy like that. And they are doing 23,000. The Chargers have a pretty good, like, it's like a trip to Arizona, trip to Houston, trip to San Francisco, like a lot of those, closer trips. They don't, Jacksonville comes here, Miami comes here. I'm pretty happy about how the Chargers schedule was laid out.
Yeah, and I mean, some tough games in there because, like you said, they're playing the NFC West, but it is what it is. But the good thing is everybody else is playing the same teams.
Yeah, and there's also like this weird thing where I know the travel, to me, it's more about the start time or whatever, but people act like they're traveling like we do. They aren't up against the bulkhead on a coach Southwest flight or whatever. Like, yeah, they're not in there. You're not asking to get a seatbelt extender for your backup offensive lineman. Yeah. Like, it's just not how they travel. To me, it's more about the start time. So I think that if you could figure it out, like you said, where, hey, West Coast teams are traveling at this time, let's make sure that their kickoffs are at 4:05 on the East Coast instead of 1:05. I think that would be a nice added benefit. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Like, they've been doing this forever, and the good teams, you just don't make excuses for it. You just figure out a way to like go out there and get wins.
All right, one last thing on the NFL, Tony. Jarvis Landry signed with the Saints. You liking it?
Yeah, I like this move for the Saints. I think the Saints have done very well for themselves, bringing in good veterans. He's a real nice slot piece to play underneath Chris Olave going deep, and great possession receiver and Michael Thomas. If he could just come back, like, just be out there. Jameis Winston has some real nice pieces around him, hopefully between the eye surgery and the tutelage of Breeze, rehabbing. Jameis Winston can enjoy the success that has mostly avoided him in his career to this point.
You got anything outside of the world of football you want to talk about?
Anything outside? I did not come prepared with this. I'm trying to think of. I think maybe I'll go with the NBA in the game 7. Exciting tomorrow. Bucks playing the Celtics. As we talked about last year on the Warzone Sports Network, how much I love Chris Middleton, and Chris Middleton is out of the game, and the Bucks are struggling, and Giannis is not closing out this series. I think this stresses the importance of how good he is. Also, the Celtics have really come together nicely as a team, and the NBA conference final championships are really shaping up to be exciting. I think it's nice to be there to be in these things with no LeBron and no KD and maybe no Giannis, and and then we can all really get together and hate the Golden State Warriors and make sure that they don't win another championship. It's kind of the thing.
I'll go with the baseball.
Yeah.
The top 4 teams in baseball right now are all in the big markets. The Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Angels. First time they said in forever that the top 4 teams are like that. So that's crazy to see. I always root for a New York LA World Series. I don't want to see a Mets Angels, but hey, let's do it. Let's go for it. But it's good to see that the Freeway Series in LA is probably going to be lit and it's going to be back, because the last couple of years they haven't been selling out and nobody's been going to those games. They actually been they used to be weekend games. Then now they just throw on Monday, Tuesdays. That's just like, Dodgers, Angels, whatever. Now they actually mean stuff, so it's good to have that back in LA.
Yeah, I like this because I make a trip out with one of my best friends is from Boston. He lives out here, and we do a day trip every year where we go and we watch the Angels and the Red Sox. And I always cheer for the Angels just for fun. I don't really care about the Angels at all. But it makes it more exciting, especially Mike Trout being back, and he's starting to swing the bat good, and Shohei and the Angels are getting some good pitching, it looks like. This is good for baseball. The problem is that baseball is just so bad at marketing everything. I did this. I woke up from a nap yesterday, and there was hockey on, and I watched a full period of hockey. I think it was Rangers or Panthers Capitals. That's what it was. And I was like, I used to watch hockey all the time as a kid. Played hockey for 15 years. It was my favorite sport, as a kid to play, not to watch, but to play. And I was like, how is this not advertised better? It's exciting. We got checking and slap shots and big saves, all this stuff. And it's I didn't even know it was on. I saw no publicity for it whatsoever.
It's funny you say that, because we took the kids to the playoff game last night, minor league AHL hockey in our town. It was playoff game, elimination game. We got free tickets. Thank you, Zeppo's Pizza. Shout out to them. And I don't know a lot about hockey, Tony. Like you said, you grew up playing it. But once you're there and you're seeing the big hits and you're seeing the shots on goal, and you're just like, holy heck, this is a hell of a game. And, of course, I always root for a fight, and there wasn't a fight. But the hits that these guys take, oh, my gosh.
Fighting on hockey skates is one of the hardest things to do. It is, because you're getting yanked and you got to keep your balance. You want to get up on your toes and you want to get really locked into the back of that jersey right there. Give it a little pull over the top and just feed them uppercuts. It's fantastic. But yeah, hockey's exciting. And every time this happens to me, every couple of years, I'll catch a game and I'll remember what it's like to be able to thread that sort of 2-line, just inside of a 2-line pass, and the race when there's going to be an icing play or whatever, and you have two guys that are just super fast racing for a puck to try and touch it and get an icing, and the goaltender's deciding whether or not he has enough time to leave the net safely. There's all those things that I forget about because I just haven't watched it in forever. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is a really fun game. I should go to some Kings games, and I should get back into it. And I never do because I just have too busy of a life and I move on. But hockey, get your stuff together and advertise better.
Yeah, all this hockey. We went from Angels, Dodgers to hockey, everything in between. But the sports world is back, and it's good to be back post COVID. Now to see all these people back in the stadium, having fun, cheering on their teams. That's the best thing. That's what I got out of last night, especially when they announced the crowd. I was just like, wow, okay, cool. Oh, another cool moment. I don't know, Tony. I thought this was pretty damn cool. Last night, the guy singing the national anthem at the Hockey Inn that we were at, the microphone wouldn't work. I don't know what the hell was going on. The guy had a good enough voice because it's only a 10,000 seat arena. The guy had a good enough voice that it could carry through the arena and you could hear, but the whole crowd started singing with him. And I don't know, those kind of moments are pretty cool to me.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like any time that as the crowd will pick up somebody who forgets the national anthem, right? Or, maybe they're not a strong singer and the crowd kind of joins in. Rather than laughing or heckling or booing, it's just a really great moment to be reminded of how wonderful America can be and supportive and united it can have that moment. I don't know. I've just always been a fan of the national anthem, right? Maybe it was just because I did play sports, and in the big moments when they did play it, and that adrenaline that you have when that's going on it's such an amazing feeling, right? And these were like games that people didn't even care about. We'd have 150, 200 people, and they were all friends and family. Like, could you imagine being at a Super Bowl when No Sean Moreno has that single tear running down his face? It's just it's a beautiful moment. I love it.
Yeah, it's something that pumps you up, and you don't think it's going to pump you up, but it does. And you're just standing there like, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, it's game time. It's time to hit somebody. That is going to wrap up this week's show. We thank you so much for joining us here on Sports Dummies. Joe and I will be back next week with another show. Some more ridiculousness. Yeah, I think I have a plan for us for next week. Doing some dumb stuff, some way too early hot takes. I'm going to put up a challenge to you and to me. We're going to say some dumb things. I'm going to get a few more posts on the board here. Subscribe on Warzone Sports Network so you can be locked into this. If you're listening to the audio version, leave us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Advice, favorite team, whatever. And then jump over here on YouTube and subscribe so you can get in these comments every week. Joe, anything else you want to add?
Do you know what volume I have the music on? 69. Oh! What? Grow up. Oh.
A couple of kids having fun. Except I'm rapidly falling apart. Look at this, Joe. Tendinitis.
Good old tennis elbow. That's when you know you get old.
I was an all-state tennis player, never had tennis elbow once. Now I'm 40. I don't do anything but yard work. I got tennis. What is this? Falling apart.